So the Trump administration plans to cut the number of USAID workers from more than 10,000 to just 290. Two sources familiar with the plans tell NBC News. The small remaining staff includes employees who specialize in health and humanitarian assistance. However, reports say most of the contractors have already been fired or furloughed. Under the plan, just 12 people would be dedicated to serve the continent of Africa and 8 people for all of Asia. The 600 employees dedicated to Europe will be cut to just 10. The agency distributes billions of dollars worldwide to help alleviate poverty, treat disease, and respond to famine and natural disasters. Trump has said USAID is run by lunatic radicals, while billionaire Elon Musk, who Trump appointed as his efficiency expert, has called it a criminal organization that needs to die. Joining us now, former USAID administrator under President George W. Bush from 2001 to 2006, Andrew Natsios. Thank you, sir, for coming on the show this morning. Where to begin? The impact, I guess, on calling USAID a criminal organization and also taking these numbers down to 12, 10, 16 from several thousand. What's the initial impact?
Well, I don't think people realize where the money goes. The money goes to dozens and dozens of evangelical, Roman Catholic, International Orthodox Christian Charities, the NGO of my church, the Orthodox Church, gets millions of dollars of AID funding. So World Relief is the NGO of the National Association of Evangelicals. They got $123 million a few years ago from AID to do work in the Congo, in Haiti, in refugees and displaced camps. And I might add, these are highly skilled technical people in these NGOs, Christian NGOs, Roman Catholic, and evangelical NGOs. And all of that's being shut down. The camps are being collapsed in many areas, and people who've had their houses burned down, their children raped, who are traumatized, were getting food aid from us. The whole operation is going to be shut down. Now, Marco Rubio, who I've always had great respect for, is being blamed for this. This is being orchestrated by Musk, not Marco Rubio, and by the director of OMB. They don't care what happens to the people of the world because they don't vote in the United States. They don't care that hundreds of millions of people are going to be at the edge of starvation if these programs aren't restored immediately. Now, let me say, the notion that you're going to spend $38 billion with 292 people is ridiculous. I am, a conservative Republican. I served in the Massachusetts House for 12 years as a Republican. I am a lieutenant colonel in the reserves. I retired. I served in the first Gulf War. I am not a liberal. I am not on the left. Many church-based organizations get large amounts of money from AID to do humanitarian work. There'll be no one to process the grants. There'll be no one to ship the food aid because all those people have been fired, then laid off. I'm a professor at the Bush School at Texas A&M, and before that I taught at Georgetown University, a Roman Catholic university, and I trained students, many of them Roman Catholic and evangelical in Texas, to work at AID. All of them have been laid off, all of them. They were not lunatics. They were not communists. And it's outrageous for the president to make those claims because it's complete nonsense.
Well, you know, Gene Robinson, we talked about this yesterday and had people on the show talking about the fact that, you know, Elon Musk is saying they're Marxists, they're evil, they're this, they're that. Yeah. It's just lies. You know, this is... I'm sure there's some programs that may be run, or maybe the idea of people who are center left. The programs that have caught most attention right now have been programs that have been inspired by religious faith. And I speak primarily of what George W. Bush did with PEPFAR. We talked about it yesterday. Nick Kristof said, and again, this is an area Nick is obsessed with, that PEPFAR, in saving 25 million lives, inspired by George W. Bush's faith in Jesus Christ, saved 25 million lives in the continent of Africa because of his faith. That is not some left-wing operation. And evangelicals who and conservative Catholics and actually liberal Catholics and other church-based organizations, as we're talking about right now, they have a really big footprint inside of U.S. aid, in part because that's what Jesus tells them to do in Matthew 25. So the fact that you've got a president supported by evangelicals, and you've got Elon Musk, who's not elected or anything, but going around calling people that are working on these Christian-inspired operations like PEPFAR evil Marxists. It's just preposterous. It's not even worth being angry about. It's just a lie, and it's preposterous, and it is undermining the work they're doing based on their faith in Jesus Christ, not Karl Marx.
Yeah, Joe, and I think we have to, there's so much to be angry about, but this is something we need to be angry about because just take PEPFAR. PEPFAR is one of the best things the United States has ever done, really. And I am, and everybody knows, I am no great fan of President George W. Bush's record, except for this. This was an extraordinary program that has saved tens of millions of lives, and the idea that you would demonize this, and you know, it looks to me as if Musk has chosen AID as kind of a demonstration project, just to see how he can destroy an agency and demoralize the rest of the federal workforce. My question for Andrew is, let's assume that you are right, that Marco Rubio just inherently is not insane, that he understands the good that AID was doing, and that within the State Department he wants to recreate some of this, maybe quietly, but he knows that we need to have it. But how long would it take? How difficult would it be, even if he wanted to sort of put it back together now that it's been utterly smashed? Isn't that a long-term project?
It is. You destroy an institution, you don't rebuild it overnight. And I might add, the State Department is not, I mean, I have great respect for the State Department. They're the best diplomats in the world. I was a diplomat for a while as President Bush's envoy to Sudan, but they are not operational. They cannot deploy disaster assistance response teams, which AID sends all over the world. They hire generalists in the Foreign Service. AID hires specialists. You have to have an advanced degree to work in the Foreign Service and AID, or you can't get hired, which means PhDs, medical doctors, agricultural economists, agricultural scientists. We have the logisticians. How do you think food aid gets moved? It doesn't just appear magically. You have to have people experts in logistics. 294 people to spend $38 billion. What are they, idiots? And they're not going to. The hiring systems in the State Department, I have to say, are very slow. AID has slowed down in recent years, but when I was there, we could hire someone in a couple of months. I do think that changes need to be made, but the problem is not in AID. The problem is in the federal system is ground to a halt. And this is going to have horrendous consequences around the world. I don't think they have any idea the consequences of what they're doing. They're just, they have a wrecking ball, they go into an agency, destroy it, and they're on to somewhere else. They're going after the FBI now. CIA, the same thing. We are in a conflict around the world with China and Russia. Some people, the president said we're bordering on World War III. We're destroying all our foreign, the apparatus of our international affairs apparatus in the U.S. government just before we are in conflict. I mean, it's madness to do this. And they're not going
Self-sabotage.
to, they think they're going to rebuild this overnight? They're crazy.
Former USAID Administrator Andrew Natsios, thank you so much for coming on the show this morning. I'm sure we'll be hearing from you again soon.